fourth graders. So one of your tasks today, it can be later today because you'll have to wait till you get your stuff from the drive-through, but is to find your math flashcards. So they look like this. Once you go through the drive-through, you'll get them. And here's why it's super important. First of all, these are a bunch of terms that we have been learning throughout the past few weeks, and they're kind of challenging. So I really would like you to cut these out. What you do is you cut along the horizontal line, and then you'll fold it over so that you can see just one side at a time. I would suggest look at the definition side and then say the term. So when you quiz yourself, look at this side that says 2 raised with the same endpoint, and then quiz yourself on what the term is. Say, oh, that's an angle. We have right angle, acute angle, obtuse angle. And there's just a lot of terms, like we've learned about equilateral, isosceles scaling, acute triangles. There's just a lot of different terms that you're going to need to know. And then today we're going to be getting into quadrilaterals. We have parallelograms, rhombus, trapezoid, square, and rectangle. These two we'll get into not today, a later time. But it's just going to be really helpful if you have these and practice with them because there's just a lot of terms. So we're looking at quadrilaterals today, which a quadrilateral is just a 4-sided shape. So any shape that has 4 sides. So in all of these quadrilaterals, the sides labeled A and B are adjacent to each other. So we have A and B, those sides. We have A and B, A and B, and A and B. And then B and C are also adjacent to each other. BC, BC, and so on. So what do you think it means then for 2 sides to be adjacent? Well, for 2 sides to be adjacent, it just means they are next to each other in a shape. So it doesn't mean that they're perpendicular to each other. In this case, these 2 lines are perpendicular, A and B, but they're not in this one. So it just means that they're next to each other. What other sides are adjacent to each other? Well, C and D are. Or A and D. Just means the sides are next to each other. All right, and then the sides labeled A and C are opposite each other in all of these quadrilaterals. So here we have AC, 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 AC. What do you think it means for the 2 sides to be opposite each other? Well, it just means they are across from each other in a shape. And then this says, what other sides are opposite each other? Well, they already gave us AC, so B and D. So those are 2 terms that you're going to need to know, adjacent and opposite. Adjacent and opposite sides. All right, so we have different types of quadrilaterals. Like I told you, we have some different shapes that we're learning about. Some are special because they have parallel sides or right angles. You already know about rectangles and squares. Okay, so here's a rectangle. The definition of a rectangle is that it has 4 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 pairs of opposite sides parallel. What it means by opposite sides is that this side is parallel to this one. And remember, we learned the term for parallel. Parallel means that the lines will never run into each other. They're like some railroad tracks. They're always the same distance apart, never running into each other. So our opposite sides are parallel. This one's parallel with this one. This one is parallel with this one. And it has 4 right angles. Okay, the only difference that a square has, it has all the exact same things. It has those opposite parallel sides. It has 4 right angles, but it has 4 equal sides. So the lengths of all of these sides are equal. Remember, we use little tick marks to show that they're equal. And then we have a few other definitions, which again, you're gonna have to look at your vocab flashcards probably to help you with this when you do the homework. But a rhombus has 4 sides. and they are equal sides. So here's a rhombus and has equal sides. So it's very similar to a square. The difference is that it does not have right angles. So it doesn't have a right angle. A rhombus doesn't. But it does have two pairs of opposite sides parallel. So this one's parallel to this one. This one's parallel to this one. So the way I like to think of that one is it's kind of like a square, but it got rammed by a bus. Get it? Rhombus. So it's kind of just like leaning on its side. A parallelogram has four sides, and it has two pairs of opposite sides parallel. So it's similar to rhombus. However, it does not have four equal sides. So a parallelogram is almost like a rectangle that got rammed and shifted over a little bit. And then off to the side, we have trapezoid, which is kind of on its own. It's not really related to these very much, besides the fact that it also has four sides. And it has exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel. So just one pair is parallel. So this pair is parallel in that one. This pair is parallel in that one. But see, these ones aren't parallel to each other because they would run into each other eventually, see? Okay. All right. So we're going to be drawing some of the quadrilaterals. So it says draw a quadrilateral that has exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel. So I couldn't draw a square. Oops, that's not a very good square. But I couldn't draw a square because it says we need exactly one pair of opposite sides parallel, and that has two. This side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. So I need to come up with one that has exactly one pair that's parallel. Well, I'm going to start by drawing maybe, yeah, like that. This isn't perfect. But here's my pair of parallel sides. This one is parallel to this one, but these ones aren't. And then it asks what type of quadrilateral is it? Actually, it's a trapezoid, the one that we just talked about here. It has one pair of parallel sides. So that is a trapezoid. And again, it's probably helpful if you look at your flashcards when you're doing your homework, because it does give you the definitions and it gives you an example of shape. It's a four-sided shape with one pair of opposite sides parallel. You might even want to put the word exactly in here, with exactly one pair. All right, draw a quadrilateral that has two pairs of opposite sides parallel. What type of quadrilateral is it? Is there more than one answer? Oh yeah, there's more than one answer. Because we could do this, which I'm trying to make all the sides equal, pretend all those sides are equal. And that is a rhombus. And it has two pairs of parallel sides, so that would work. Or I could do a rectangle. That has two pairs of opposite sides parallel. Actually, any of these four would work. All of these have two pairs of opposite sides parallel. Ooh, this is specific. Draw a quadrilateral that has two pairs of opposite sides parallel, four equal sides, and no right angles. What type of quadrilateral is it? Well, when I heard two pairs of opposite sides parallel and four equal sides, I immediately thought of a square. But then it told me it needed no right angles, so I know that's not going to work. It's actually going to be a rhombus. So there we go. Okay, let's move you on to the homework. You're going to be doing 8-8 homework, and you're going to use the vocabulary box at the right. Now make sure you follow these instructions. If you don't, I'll know that you didn't watch the whole video. So if you're watching, please follow. Write the name of the quadrilateral that best describes each figure. You're going to use each word once, so you get to cross them out as you go. And then describe how it is different from other quadrilaterals. Or I guess just tell me why you picked that one. So sorry, I'm going to help you with the simplest one, but this one right here, you would write square. I hope you know that's a square. And you would cross out square. And then tell me why you know it's a square. I'm going to write because it has four equal sides. That wouldn't be enough though, because a rhombus also has 4 equal sides. So I'm going to say 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. All right, and then I guess I will help you with one more. This one is a little challenging to me because I kind of think that these sides look parallel, but if you actually continue to extend them all the way, you don't have to draw this. But if you did extend them all the way, they would eventually run into each other. So this one is actually just going to be a quadrilateral. Quadrilateral. No sides are parallel. So no other option would have worked for that one because all the other ones we learned about, all of these have at least one pair of sides parallel. These all have 2 sides parallel. This one is 1 pair of sides parallel, but this one doesn't have any. So that's why that one's a quadrilateral. So you'll have to use, either go back in the video and pause it when you're on this page so that you can use these definitions, or you'll have to use your flashcards if you've been through the drive-thru and gotten these. Please make sure you do that because I don't want you just guessing and looking at this and being like, I think it's a parallelogram and this is why. Okay, so make sure you take your time on that. There's a chance that you would put like parallelogram for this one and then realize that, oh, I did that wrong, because remember, you can only use each word once. So just take your time, ask me if you have questions, please. Here you are going back to thinking about decimals. You're writing each of these as decimal numbers. Remember, it can sometimes be helpful to write it as a fraction first. So for example, for 3/10, you might want to write that out first. Or you can just remind yourself that in a place value, this is your tenths, and this is your hundredths. So when you're writing 3/10, it would go in that tenth spot, so 0.3. Then you are going to tell me whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And then you do get to skip 11 and 12. All right, very last thing, you're going to be doing an IXL skill. This one just asks you how many pairs of opposite sides are parallel. So you just have to count how many pairs, not how many sides are parallel, but how many pairs are parallel. So here's a pair. This side and this side are parallel, so that is 1 pair of parallel sides. This one doesn't have any parallel sides because if they don't, none of them look like railroad tracks, right? So if I ran these 2 lines, they would eventually run into each other, and these ones would eventually run into each other, so no pairs. However, for this one, these lines are parallel to each other, and these lines are parallel to each other, so I would say 2 pairs. Okay, I'm going to jump a level. All right, sometimes you have to look at it for a little bit, and I would even maybe suggest, I don't have another pen on me, but having 2 pens so that you can put one here and then one on that line and see if they run into each other. Since those would eventually run into each other, we have no pairs, because it'd be the same thing for this side. See, they would eventually run into each other. Right, I'm going to skip another level. That's about the same. That one has 1 pair. I can tell that that pair is parallel. Skip another level. Ooh, see, that's where it gets a little challenging. It might look like, when you just stare at it, like no sides are parallel. But if you had a pen here on this line and then a pen here on this line, you'd see that they look like railroad tracks. They never run into each other. Same thing for these ones, this line and this line. So I would say 2 pairs. All right, let's go to our bonus challenge round. Oh, doesn't want me to. Oh, I guess that's it. In this one, again, if you lay your pens down, you would find that no pairs are parallel. All right, that is it. You guys let me know if you have any questions. You've totally got this.